Welcome to The Watch. Subscribe for new videos daily, and if you're interested in scenes from Friends that had us laughing for hours, stay tuned. The American television industry has sure seen some amazing sitcoms produced and delivered to the masses, but for many of them, there is none that have been able to set the record quite like Friends have. The reason for this is because in much recent times, the sitcom has been rated the greatest sitcom of all times, and it's mainly because it has over 20 million views at current. It has also been stated that the sitcom has won some back-to-back awards in regards to America's top 10 ratings too. This sitcom has some strong learnings with pop culture, and the most per-used analogy that the sitcom has been affiliated with is the common saying, "How you doing?" Because of the popularity of the show, we have been able to compound a short list of some of the top 10 funniest moments. The one with the blackout. In this scene, there was a particular blackout in New York City, and during this blackout, Ross finally decided to seize the opportunity to profess how much he loved Rachel. This was on the balcony to Monica's house, and while he was on the verge of professing these feelings, a cat jumped over his shoulders and attacked him ruthlessly. We know, it's silly, but we definitely laughed. The one with the stoned guy. Ross was dating a woman, a new woman. In order to have sex with her, she insisted that he had to talk dirty and nasty. Instead of saying something spicy, he says vulva. Without any form of a clue, Ross turned over to Joey for ideas. This scene was hilarious because Monica brought into the scene what happened with the stone guy and her cooking, and then we were able to see the funny in the entire episode. The one with Ross's new girlfriend. Joey recommends a tailor for Chandler. When Chandler arrives, the tailor grabs Chandler by the crotch to measure the inseam. Chandler tells Joey about the incident, and Joey just states that's how tailors measure. Although the scene was hilarious when it aired, it definitely wouldn't have aired today. The one with the breast milk. This was in the opening scene of Season 2, Episode 2. In this scene, the boys were not quite so comfortable with the fact that Carol was breastfeeding right in front of them. Ross commented at that point that the boys were only being immature, and that they could easily ask Carol any questions if they were that uncomfortable. The scene became funny quite quickly because the gestures and the characters' faces were definitely something to remember. The one after the Super Bowl. In Season 2, Rachel went out with Jean-Claude. At that point in time, Jean-Claude had already known that Monica wanted to date him, and so the scene was very intense as Phoebe tried to mediate between the characters. Rachel eventually gives up on Claude, but not before telling him that Monica wants to have a threesome with him and Drew Barrymore. The one with the prom video. Prior to the scene, no one was quite familiar about the past of both Monica and Rachel, and so it felt more like a peek into the past of the two characters, watching them act so childishly. The scene is lighthearted, until we see that Rachel's prom date ditches her. Even with the suspense, it was hilarious to see what both Rachel and Monica looked like before the glow up. The one where Eddie wouldn't go. In this scene, apparently, Chandler had a new roommate whose name is Eddie. He was trying as much as possible to get rid of his new roommate, literally from all his stuff, but Eddie just wouldn't yield. This began a whole new phase of chaos. Quite funny indeed. It became even funnier at this point when Chandler demanded that his new roommate moved out, and he still wouldn't yield. It was a frustrating scene, but it was also funny too. The one with the two parties. In this scene, a surprise party is thrown for Rachel. Apparently, none of them anticipated the drama that was soon to erupt. Eventually, it turned out to be two parties for one person. Rachel's parents were newly divorced. They both wouldn't agree on anything, and this created some kind of intensity at the party. What made it even funnier was the fact that everyone understood that the parents were at warring ends, and so they tried as much as possible to hide one parent from the other. The characters ran back and forth trying to appease Rachel's parents, but nothing made them happy. The one where no one is ready. In the beginning of the episode, Ross yells at Rachel, causing her to get upset and say she just isn't going to a party. Ross is trying to make it up to everyone so that they can all agree to go to his dinosaur convention with him. At 20 minutes until the time of departure, still none of them were ready to leave. Neither were they really making an effort to plan to. Ross was anxious that he didn't know what to do and hilariously failed at everything. The one with the jam. In this scene, Monica just broke up with Richard and decides to make jam. Somewhere along the way, Monica makes plans to make withdrawals from the sperm bank. When she was reviewing applicants, it turned out eventually that she was familiar with one of them. It was Joey. Even before seeing the scene, we all knew it would be Joey, but it was still hilarious to see. This particular sitcom is unique in the sense that it revolves around a group of characters that the end viewer can relate with. It feels more like you've known these characters for a long time, and the way that they act kind of amuses you at different instances. If you like this video, give us a like and tell us in the comments what you would like to see next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.